Russia's $2 million Lancet hub, gone. Not by missiles. By a three-man team with about $1,500 in kit. You clicked for naval strikes and drone warfare. You're in the right place. Today, you'll see how a palm-sized interceptor, a JTL jammer, and cheap FPV decoys turned a high-end drone network into a liability. We'll track the faint truck, the 0.3-second pulse that spiked Russian comms, and the final shape charge blast that erased 20 Lancets and the depot truck. Stay to learn the asymmetric playbook that flips cost into combat power. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. You're told the hub is safe unless a missile hits it. Then 3 operators show up with pocket money and a plan that cuts the cord. How does that math work in the field? Start with the pain point. Lancets are not random. They arrive after scouts shape the map, pin roads, and time convoys. A depot feeds that cycle, chargers, data loaders, spare wings, so the strike clock never stops. Kill the node and you steal hours, then days, from Russia's attack rhythm. But the ground isn't empty.
Actions as a part of the spectrum of their hybrid war, which includes information warfare, arsons, assassinations, sending parcels with incendiary devices.
Another incursion of Russian drones into Polish airspace. You might do more than shoot them down. There was an implication that NATO might take this battle to Russia.
This was a deliberate provocation. 21 drones were launched from a single location, different from the launch sites of the drones against Ukraine.
A routine patrol drifts by on the hour. Fog sits low. A battered gas idles across from a low shed that isn't a shed, it's a camo-wrapped control hub. One wrong move and a direction-finding team pins the source in minutes. Every action has to look like background noise. So they build the pattern first. Weeks of quiet work. Traffic logs, guard smoke breaks, the moment the day shift hands off, the arc of an Orlan 10 when it checks the grid, even the chatter gap when a supervisor signs a checklist. They chalk the depot's pulse to light, to weather, to habit. Not guesswork, timings. Gear is simple and brutal. A JTL throws a fog of radio hiss. A palm-sized interceptor acts like a scalpel, cutting one link without lighting up the sky. FPV drones act as cheap actors that miss on purpose. Each tool does one job. Together they fake a bad day on the Russian net. The trigger is a sliver in the noise. A 0.3-second pulse. Too short to flag alarms, long enough to open a clean window for a cut. That's the go. The feint looks sloppy by design. An FPV broadcasts a spoofed IFF, pops a firework to mimic a mid-air failure, and a TM-62 lies ready to give the loud bang the patrol expects to chase. Then heat floods the scene. A sacrificial FPV slaps power lines and throws off hot sparks, sensors bloom, Baba Yaga rises behind the glare and moves clean. Now suspicion turns inward. Russian operators chase phantom glitches while Baba Yaga climbs to a lane with no eyes on it. The board is warped, and the depot thinks it's debugging code. Next comes the strike. Steel, not static. One decoy beacon pulls a gunship off course. One small eye blinds a $15 million eye. What would you do with that window?
Drones deliberately sent into Poland, and of course we have the right to defend our airspace, the security of our citizens and their property.
Then it sent a drone into Romania, and for 12 minutes on September 19th, 3 Russian fighter jets lingered over the skies in Estonia before NATO mobilized F-35 jet fighters to repel them.
And there are procedures for it. You intercept incoming drones or aircraft. You try to send them home, or you try to make them land.
Russians stack assets fast. An Orlan, 10 orbits to sniff for links. Ground patrols squeeze lanes. A Mi-8 pushes in to verify what the screens can't. The Echo beacon goes live 2 miles north, clean and hot, a fake signature that looks worth the flight time. Every second cuts both ways. The JTL sweeps wideband to fog the room without screaming a location. The interceptor stays whisper quiet, trimming control links at the edge so direction finders don't get a line. You can't shout in this fight. You have to whisper and still be heard. The trick isn't the noise. It's the story. Layered queues tell operators the fault sits in the Lancet chain, bad handshake, glitchy relay, intermittent power, not the fence line. So they retest drones, ping nodes, and call for a systems check. Meanwhile, the perimeter looks normal because that's the lie they've been fed. Baba Yaga climbs through the clutter they lit themselves. The path opens. The depot truck sits heavy with Lancets, boxed and ready. The loadout shifts to a shaped charge built for depth, not splash, a focused jet tuned to punch and overpressure the interior rather than shred the skin. Then steel meets chemistry.
Do you believe that this is part of a Russian strategy of probing to see whether NATO is actually going to respond if it were to do things in NATO territory?
Instead of warheads, they had extra fuel tanks. So the Russians were trying to test us without starting the war. Test our air defenses, test the resilience of our population, the unity of our government. Composition of the drone swarm was different. If it was a sideshow of the attack on Ukraine, you would expect the same proportion of armed and unarmed drones. All these drones were unarmed.
The warhead forms a tight lance that bites deep, vents into the bay, and spikes pressure in a space packed with propellant and electronics. Secondary stores catch. The first pop becomes a chain of hard hits as racks go off in rows. The yard peels. 20 airframes and support munitions cook off in waves. Breakers trip, grid nodes flicker, 6 hours of outages follow while crews try to isolate faults that don't have a quick fix because the hub itself is gone. 3 operators and about $1,500 in tools erase a $2 million node and roughly $700,000 in drones, and they don't just win a blast, they hobble a strike cycle. What matters now isn't the fireball you saw. It's the lesson, cost, code, timing, and the will to act inside the gap they left. Speed beats price. In a fight wired with sensors and signals, the tool that steals time wins, even if it costs lunch money. That's asymmetric warfare in practice: exploit gaps, bend habits, and make the bigger machine chase ghosts. If you want to track how small teams flip cost into power, subscribe and comment your choice below. Jammer first or decoy first, what would you do? Your answer shapes the next run. Next time we test a different puzzle: how to blind a ship's radar net with a drone swarm under $10,000. Different target, same logic, cost, code, timing. Bring your plan.